Back to our top story this morning. An explosion in Westminster leveled a home early this morning. 9 News reporter John Glasgow joins us live in the area near 77th and Knox Court, which is just south of Federal and Highway 36. John, it doesn't sound like anyone was at the home at the time of the explosion.
That's right, but there were a lot of neighbors around here that heard that boom, woke them up at around 2:30 this morning. They said it just shook their homes with the force of that blast. In fact, we talked to one neighbor, and you can see here from this ring camera just how intense that boom was. It just, within a few seconds, that home was leveled and threw debris all across this neighborhood, including bricks against cars, against other homes. There are a number of homes in the area that sustained some damage from the force of that blast. Right now, the fire department here in Westminster say that there are no reports of any fatalities or injuries at this time, and the cleanup now is underway. But here's what the fire department had to say when we arrived here at around 5 o'clock this morning.
First thing is working our way in to try to find the area where the blast originated at. If there was any reports from neighbors of anything suspicious going on before. So our investigators have been talking to neighbors as well as the homeowner to see who, if anybody was staying there, as well as any weird activity in the area prior to.
So we did talk to some of the neighbors and asked them that question as well. Was anyone living there? They tell us that there was nobody living there, but we have not confirmed that. So it's unclear whether or not there was any power to the home or whether or not somebody was in the home and shouldn't have been there. The cleanup here is underway. You can see that the power's been shut off, which is a good thing. That was one of the main concerns here this morning. They're trying to find what happened here. If this is the Xcel Energy crews are trying to determine if there are any more gas leaks in the area. They say that the leaks that they were dealing with this morning were a result from the explosion and not necessarily the cause of the explosion. So that's still under investigation at this time right now. But now that it's daylight, fire investigators say that they're able to get in closer to the debris, and that's going to be the next step to see what caused this blast and potentially if anybody might have been inside.
Yeah, and John, now that it's daylight, we can really see that pile of rubble behind you, and there's literally not even a wall standing anymore.
It's really incredible. You look at just the force of the blast. I mean, Mark, if you could zoom in on that house over there, you can see that the force threw bricks right through a brick wall. There's also cars here on the street that were parked in front of the home, and the force of the blast threw bricks against those cars as well, damaging them. The home to the right of it had its windows blown out. There's debris scattered all over the place here. It's really incredible scene, and right now the cleanup is just getting underway, and also that investigation, as we mentioned, Corey.
Yeah, debris on the house next door, up in the tree. It's just really incredible. All right, John, thanks for the update.
Other news now developing this morning, anti-Semitism concerns in Parker. Anti-Semitic flyers showed up at dozens of homes over the weekend. The flyers came in little bags. They were filled with rice to weigh them down. The papers inside covered in anti-Semitic messages mixed with comments about COVID-19 and the Biden administration. Parker police say they really can't do anything about it because nobody made any direct threats. Scott Levin with the Anti-Defamation League says homes in Denver, Arvada, and Castle Rock have gotten similar flyers to what we've seen in Parker and other states. Levin says even if police do not consider the flyers a crime, incidents should be reported in order to establish a record. Well, developing right now, world leaders are still wondering whether Russia will invade Ukraine more than they have already. Russian President Vladimir Putin declared 2 separatist regions of Ukraine independent. He ordered Russian troops into those regions as quote-unquote peacekeepers. As NBC's Bree Jackson explains, that move has drawn a lot of reaction.
Raising the stakes on an already tense situation, Russian President Vladimir Putin is now recognizing 2 key regions of eastern Ukraine as independent states and ordering troops into those areas.
President, let me also thank...
During a rare emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council, the U.S. ambassador warns Russia's deployment is a pretext for war.
He calls them peacekeepers. This is nonsense. we know what they really are.
In response, President Biden signed an executive order imposing sanctions on the two Russian separatist regions of Ukraine. The order prohibits new investment, trade, and financing in those areas. Officials say more actions aimed at Russia are still to come.
Sanctions and actions at the Security Council, I should underscore, are only part of our response. We've also been increasing substantially the amount of security assistance that we provide to the Ukrainians.
Russia continues to deny plans to attack, criticizing the West instead.
Whipping up unfounded panic around the allegedly impending Russian invasion of Ukraine.
On the ground in Ukraine, commanders say they've been under fire from Russia's newly recognized separatists and have fired back, saying this is an historic moment and maybe a breaking point. Ukraine's president says his one goal is peace in Ukraine. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Stay tuned. Lots more on that coming up. New this morning, the parent company of 9 News, Tegna, has announced a deal with a company. It is being acquired by Standard General affiliate at $24 a share. In total, they say it is a $4.5 billion deal. The deal does still have to be approved by Tegna shareholders. It's expected to close in the second half of this year.
It's been 11 months since a gunman murdered 10 people at a King Soopers in Boulder. People describe that store as a cornerstone of the community. And since that day, that community has spent every day trying to heal. Now a new exhibit hopes to help that healing process. The Boulder Strong Stay Strong exhibit honors the 10 lives lost. It features portraits of King Soopers employees and artifacts from the memorial fence that went up in the days after the shooting.
Just sort of capture all the people who were connected to the event in some way, but also everyone on those outer rings who you maybe don't think of when you're thinking of the event itself. I hope that it is affirming to them that, you know, their story really matters, and that, again, we wish this wasn't part of their story, but we're really, really grateful to them for being vulnerable and really generous and sharing that with us.
The Boulder Strong Stay Strong will be on display at the Museum of Boulder until mid-April.